Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of today. I'm your host, Sharifa Muhammad MGT.
I'm Colonel AC Oguntoye, an infantry officer.
The past week marked a significant escalation in Russian offensive operations, characterized by a massive combined strike against Ukrainian defense industry and energy infrastructure in response to Ukrainian attacks on Russian civilian facilities. Territorially, Russian forces completed the liberation of the Luhansk People's Republic and seized multiple settlements across Sumy, Kharkov, Donetsk, and Zaporozhye regions. The weekly loss figures reveal sustained attrition across all 6 sectors, with total Ukrainian casualties exceeding 8,800 troops and over 200 ammunition, POL, and material depots neutralized.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel AC Oguntoye, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Colonel, let's start with the big picture. The briefing begins with a massive overnight strike in response to Ukrainian attacks on Russian civilian facilities. 6 group strikes were launched during the week, targeting fuel, transport, port infrastructure, military airfields, and drone production sites. How does this represent a doctrinal shift?
This is a fundamental change in Russian targeting philosophy. Earlier in the conflict, strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure were often framed as separate operations. Now, they are being integrated as a direct punitive response to Ukrainian attacks on Russian civilian targets. The message is clear. If Ukraine strikes Russian cities, Russia will strike Ukrainian defense industry and energy infrastructure with combined force. Operationally, the shift is toward attacking the entire Ukrainian war economy: fuel infrastructure, transport nodes, ports. These are the arteries that move ammunition, fuel, and reserves to the front. By hitting them in coordinated, repeated strikes, Russian forces are creating systemic friction. The defense industry enterprises targeted are producing or repairing the very equipment Ukraine needs to continue fighting.
Let's move to the North Group. Over the week, they seized Malaya Korchakovka in Sumy and Verkhnaya Pisarevka in Kharkov. They inflicted losses of more than 1,435 troops and destroyed 71 depots. What stands out to you about the composition of Ukrainian units engaged in this sector?
The target set in the North sector is remarkably diverse. 3 mechanized brigades, 2 motorized infantry brigades, an air mobile brigade, an artillery brigade, 3 territorial defense brigades, 2 National Guard brigades, and 2 border detachments. That is an entire army's worth of different unit types. What this tells me is that the Russian North Group is applying pressure across such a wide front that the Ukrainian command has been forced to scrape together every available formation, from frontline mechanized units to rear area border guards. The presence of 2 National Guard brigades and 2 border detachments is particularly telling. Those are internal security forces, not designed for sustained combat against a peer enemy. Their engagement confirms that Ukraine is experiencing severe manpower shortages and is pulling from every pool. The destruction of 71 depots in this sector alone is staggering. That is not a week's worth of random strikes.
The West Group completed the liberation of the Luhansk People's Republic. That's a strategic milestone. They also liberated 3 other settlements. What does the completion of Luhansk liberation mean for the operational calculus?
Completing the liberation of Luhansk is not just a political victory. It is a force-releasing event. For months, the West Group has been committed to clearing Ukrainian forces from Luhansk territory. Now that mission is complete. That means the combat power of the West Group, its mechanized brigades, its artillery, its aviation assets, can now be redeployed to other sectors, most likely Donetsk or Kharkov. The briefing notes that during the week, the West Group inflicted losses on 5 mechanized brigades, an airmobile brigade, an assault brigade, a security brigade of the General Staff, 2 territorial defense brigades, and a National Guard brigade. The inclusion of a General Staff security brigade is noteworthy. That is a high-value unit typically held in reserve for critical counterattacks. Its engagement suggests that Ukraine committed its best reserves to try to hold Luhansk, and they failed.
The South Group improved tactical positions and inflicted losses on a UAV brigade. Why is the neutralization of a dedicated unmanned systems brigade significant?
Unmanned systems brigades are relatively new formations designed to integrate drones, reconnaissance, loitering munitions, first-person view attack drones into the battlefield in a coordinated way. By targeting and degrading a UAV brigade, the South Group is attacking Ukraine's ability to see, to adjust artillery, and to strike Russian positions with precision. The loss of 25 field artillery guns in this sector is also critical because artillery and drones work together. Drones find targets. Artillery destroys them. If you degrade both the drone brigade and the artillery guns, you create a synergistic effect. The South Group also destroyed 53 ammunition and material depots, second only to the North sector. This tells me that the Donetsk front remains a priority for both sides, and Russian forces are systematically dismantling the Ukrainian defensive infrastructure there.
The Center Group reported the highest Ukrainian losses of any sector, more than 2,545 troops, including a US-made Abrams tank, 68 armored fighting vehicles, and 11 electronic warfare stations. They also engaged 4 National Guard brigades and 3 Marine brigades. What does this concentration of force tell you?
The center sector is where the war is being decided right now. The loss of 2,545 troops in a single week is a brutal attrition rate. The destruction of an Abrams tank is significant, but the broader picture is the engagement of 4 National Guard brigades and 3 Marine brigades. Ukraine is committing its strategic reserves, its Marines, which are among its best trained forces, and its internal security forces, which are among its least trained. That tells me that the Center Group has created a crisis. The Ukrainian command has no choice but to throw everything into this sector, from elite Marines to National Guard units that should be guarding rear areas. The loss of 68 armored fighting vehicles in 1 week is also enormous. That's the equivalent of an entire mechanized battalion's worth of armor destroyed every single day of the week. The 11 electronic warfare stations neutralized in this sector mean that Ukrainian units are increasingly blind and deaf.
The East Group liberated Luganskoye and Boykovo in Zaporozhye and inflicted losses of nearly 2,000 troops. What does the liberation of these settlements signify for the Zaporozhye front?
The Zaporozhye front has been characterized by extensive defensive works, minefields, dragon's teeth, layered obstacles. Liberating Luganskoye and Boykovo suggests that Russian forces have either breached those defenses or have found a way to bypass them. The loss of nearly 2,000 Ukrainian troops in this sector, along with 12 armored fighting vehicles and 7 artillery guns, indicates that the East Group is conducting offensive operations at scale, not just probing attacks. The engagement of 2 mechanized brigades, 3 air assault brigades, 2 assault brigades, and 5 assault regiments. That is a massive concentration of Ukrainian combat power. Air assault brigades are among Ukraine's most mobile and capable units. Their presence in the target list tells me that the Ukrainian command is committing its best forces to try to hold the Zaporozhye line. But the loss of 2,000 troops in a week is unsustainable.
The DNEPR group reported relatively light Ukrainian losses, 395 troops, but neutralized 17 electronic warfare stations and counterfire radars, plus 14 depots. How does a secondary sector achieve such disproportionate effects on EW and logistics?
The DNEPR group is a textbook example of economy of force operations done right. Their mission is to fix Ukrainian units along the Dnipro River line, 2 mechanized brigades, a mountain assault brigade, a Marine brigade, and a territorial defense brigade, to prevent them from being redeployed to the main axes. But instead of launching costly frontal assaults, they're using precision strikes to target the enablers. Electronic warfare stations, counterfire radars, and logistics depots. 17 EW and counterfire stations neutralized in a single week is a massive blow to Ukrainian C4ISR in that sector. Without those systems, Ukrainian units cannot effectively target Russian artillery, cannot protect themselves from drone observation, and cannot coordinate defensive fires. The 14 depots destroyed mean that even if those units remain in place, they will run out of ammunition and fuel.
Now let's turn to the operational tactical aviation and air defense campaign. Over the week, air defense shot down 57 guided aerial bombs, 3 HIMARS rounds, 4 Flamingo cruise missiles, 3 Neptune missiles, and 2,354 fixed-wing UAVs. That's an average of 336 UAVs per day. What does this volume tell you about the state of the unmanned war?
The number 2,354 is staggering. That is more than 300 drones shot down every single day for a week. It tells us that Ukraine is launching unmanned systems at an industrial scale, attempting to saturate Russian air defense networks. But it also tells us that Russian air defense is intercepting the vast majority of them. The cost-exchange ratio, however, is a concern. Each interceptor costs far more than most of these drones. Over time, that will strain Russian air defense inventories as well. But the interception of 57 guided bombs, 3 HIMARS rounds, 4 Flamingo cruise missiles, and 3 Neptunes is equally important. These are the high-value threats, precision-guided munitions that can cause significant damage if they get through. The fact that they are being intercepted suggests that the layered air defense system, ranging from long-range systems like the S-400 to medium-range systems in electronic warfare, is functioning effectively.
The briefing also notes that the Black Sea Fleet destroyed an uncrewed surface ship and an autonomous submerged vehicle. How significant is the naval drone threat? And what does this say about the expansion of the unmanned domain?
The naval domain is increasingly becoming a battlefield for unmanned systems. Uncrewed surface ships, essentially drone boats packed with explosives, have been used by Ukraine to threaten Russian naval assets, including the Black Sea Fleet. Autonomous submerged vehicles are even more dangerous because they are harder to detect. The fact that the Black Sea Fleet destroyed one of each indicates that Ukraine is continuing to innovate in the maritime unmanned space. This is a natural extension of the drone war. If you can attack by air with hundreds of UAVs, why not also attack by sea? The challenge for Russian naval forces is that these systems are cheap, hard to detect, and can be launched from almost anywhere along the coast. Destroying one surface drone and one submerged vehicle is a tactical success, but the strategic implication is that the Black Sea Fleet must remain vigilant against a persistent, low-cost threat that could emerge at any time.
Colonel Oguntoye, as we wrap up this weekly review, what are your overarching tactical and strategic implications from the past 7 days?
Tactically, Russian forces have executed a coordinated campaign that combines massive strikes on strategic infrastructure, systematic logistics interdiction, and methodical territorial consolidation. The completion of Luhansk liberation is a significant milestone that frees up combat power for other axes. The destruction of over 158 ammunition, fuel, and material depots in a single week will have a cumulative effect that we will see in the coming weeks. Ukrainian artillery will fire fewer shells, Ukrainian vehicles will run out of fuel, and Ukrainian units will be forced to abandon positions due to supply shortages.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive frontline updates from commanders in theater.